Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now today I've got a very special guest. I'm delighted to be joined by Northside and we'll be previewing the Arsenal versus Leicester game at the weekend and chatting a bit about Arsenal. But thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Apologies again for the lateness, but
Oh, don't worry.
yeah, but yeah, no, all good, all good, all good. Yeah, just been busy. But thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're very welcome anytime. And yeah, I'm excited to chat about Arsenal and big up Kai as well. Great to see you as always in the chat. I thought we could, before we speak about the game at the weekend coming up, I just wanted to get your thoughts really about how we're doing at the moment. I mean, the league, obviously, we're not doing too bad. A win against Man City, we were so close to it, and it would have been amazing. But yeah, how are you feeling about everything, especially as well the Carabao Cup, obviously? How do you feel about everything?
Yeah, I think we had a hard earned draw. Unfortunate not to get the win in the second half against Man City. Overall, I feel the same way I felt last season. I feel like we didn't do enough in the transfer window. I
Yeah.
think we needed a striker. We needed a number 10. These are things that I was called out. I was calling out from early, from before the season started, and said, "Listen, we're weak. We got rid of a lot of players like ESR and Ketia, and we didn't go out and replace them." And I always thought, well, we needed to upgrade on those positions, but we needed the quality to come in. And now, not only last season did we have poor quality in terms of on the bench, now we have less options on the bench. Obviously,
Yeah.
we strengthened defensively, but we already had one, if not the best defense last season. We needed to build on the weaknesses of the team, and that is, having players that are world class or players that score goals. So I felt like we once again were starting the campaign short. And I think it's shown one injury to one of our attacking players, and we're having to move everything around. We don't look as cohesive as we did when we had our full team. And I think that's really been the story of Arsenal for the last 20 years. We're not prepared in all areas. We tried to make do, we tried to, put Havertz in the midfield, or we tried to play Trossard through the middle, which we did 2 seasons ago. And we never just go out there and get the players that are necessary to get over the line. So I feel like we've done well with the hard start that we had. I'll be honest, we did do well,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's now phase 5, and I'm expecting now this manager to have to deliver. Or I think it's time for him to go. I think 5 years and £800 million spent is more than enough money. I mean, Klopp won a major honor with less money. And in terms of time, when this manager came in, a lot of this fan base said it took Klopp 4 years. We're now on to 5 years. So that's how I look on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, he has been here a while and like it has been a bit of a journey, with him. And I think this season, like, we have to win something. Like, don't get me wrong, like, if we missed out on the league and we won the Carabao Cup, I wouldn't really be happy with that massively because I think the league we've got to really win. I mean, I love an FA Cup. I always say they're amazing to win, but like if we missed out on the league but we won maybe an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, how would you feel about that? Would you say Arteta should have more time? Would your opinion sort of change?
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, Sophie. Yeah? I feel like FA Cups didn't save Wenger's job. The last 10 years of Wenger, he was winning FA Cups. FA Cups wasn't enough to keep his job. Eventually, everyone got tired of FA Cups. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes the fan base forget where we was when we got rid of Wenger. We wanted we wanted to compete. We wanted to win major honors. We got tired of winning the FA Cup. And I think after 5 years, an FA Cup is an addition, but a FA Cup win alone, I don't think warrants the time and the money that this manager's had. I don't think it's justified. 2 cups in 5 years for me isn't a great return, in all honesty. So for me, if he doesn't win Champions League or Premier League, I think it's time for him to go.
Mm.
He's definitely set the foundations of a very good starting 11, a starting
Yeah.
11 that can compete. I'm not going to take that away from him, even though anyone that watches my channel knows I'm not a fan of Arteta. I'm not a fan, but at the same time, he has made our defense really good. He has
Yeah.
made the team competitive enough to be in a title race. But I think he's showing Brendan Rodgers vibes if he doesn't get over the line this season, that you just can't get over that next hurdle. Why don't we just go out there and get somebody that can get us over the hurdle? Because right now, Arsenal is it is an attractive club. It's in the Champions League. We're
Yeah,
competing against Man City. This is the perfect time, if this manager doesn't get us over the line, to go and get a winner. There's not much that the new manager needs to implement. You've got a good starting 11.
yeah.
Make sure you add some world-class players, 2 or 3, and we're there. And that's where my frustration comes from with Arsenal and with Arteta is we're so close to actually being winners, but then we go out in the summer and not buy a striker and we don't get a number 10. And these are the things that always bite us in the ass to fall short. Just like the season that we didn't win against Leicester and Wenger told us that there's no quality in the market. If we would have went out and actually bought the top players, we would have won the league that year. And that is my frustration.
I think it's because we're so close. Like last season, like we were like 2 points away, and like we're so close, and it's so annoying because I'm like, I have had my doubts about Arteta, but like you said, you can see sort of the foundations he's built, and he's so close. And I'm just thinking, Arteta, like you're getting there. Like this season, like if we won the league, I think we deserve to win the league, but I also think it's a long season right now, and it's so early on to sort of judge. Man City are facing a few injuries, but we are also as well, and we've obviously done really well with that. But it's so early on for me to obviously, for us to say anything right now about it. But yeah, I do agree this season. I think we're getting so close now, and I think this season, we've definitely got to do it. I really hope we can do it. I mean, for you, like in the Champions League, do you look at this team right now and think we're ready to do it? Because I just feel like this season, we're gonna sort of have a similar run, like in the Champions League. Like I see us getting to the quarters, maybe semis. Like I don't look at this team yet and think we can win it, but I see this team as like a team that could win the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't see us winning the Champions
Mm,
League, if I'll be honest with you. This is much of the same team that we had last season. And I think if you remember the Porto game, we didn't have a killer. We took it to
yeah,
penalties. We still don't have a killer. Then we took on Bayern Munich, which is, well, in my lifetime, this is the weakest Bayern Munich team I've ever seen. And we struggled. I mean, the manager he was already sacked. The players were already down tools and we still couldn't beat them. So I think those are the games I think a lot of the fan base that still want to support this manager, they're going to get a sense of reality, because as much as you can be great defensively, goals win games. And in the Champions League, you have to get through. And we didn't score the goals to get through against Bayern Munich. We didn't score the goals to get through, to win the league against Aston Villa, where everything started getting derailed in our title challenges. Also in the cups, West Ham, Liverpool, we didn't get the goals to get over the line. So we can't just have a great defense and look for draws. I mean, the game against Atlanta, we drew. Brighton, we drew, and that's because we don't have a killer. And I think how long could I don't know how much longer the fan base need to realize that when you don't strengthen your deficiencies or your weaknesses, it will always come
yeah.
back to bite you. And I think that's just life. Like you can't deny reality, and the reality is we never really replaced Aubameyang. He was the last goal scorer that we had that could score 20 goals a season, that could get golden boot. You need those kind of players. So yeah, I just feel like we'll fall short in that area.
Yeah, like it's so annoying, isn't it? Because like we got rid of Eddie, and on both sides that was the right thing for us to do, and for him in his career, Crystal Palace is the perfect club for him to go to. But we've needed a striker, like I said, since Aubameyang, and it's so obvious to us fans that we need that difference maker. But obviously, the club don't really seem to obviously be making a decision. I know we're strikers now. That there were a lot more back then, but there still are options out there that we could have gone for. I know in January, you never know, we might sort of do that then, but we should have really sort of done that in the summer because, like you said, defensively, like we have got a really big squad defensively, and that's not a bad thing, but we also need more in the attack. I mean, you obviously brought Sterling in, and obviously against Bolton, he was amazing. I know it's Bolton, and it'll be a different test when it's a different, like, sort of Premier League side. But what do you make of Sterling? Like, what do you think he can bring to the team? Because I know it's obviously just a loan for this season, and hopefully he can really help us. But he's not that striker that we did need. But I'm hoping that he can really help us this season.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna really do much. If I be honest with you, like, I can't lie. I don't think he's gonna do much. Like, I don't see him, raising
Mm,
his level. We bought Kai Havertz to raise his level. Is he a bit better than Chelsea? Yes, but he's not a clinical goal scorer. We bought Zinchenko. He didn't raise his level from City to Arsenal. We bought Jesus. He's been on the decline. You know what I mean? So I don't really I don't really see what he's going to bring this team. He brings us, obviously, he brings us rotation. Outside of rotation, I don't think we just need a rotation. We needed, coming off of, being neck and neck with Man City, we needed players that are going to take us over the line and going to be, displacing some of the starting 11. We needed to bring world class players. And we keep bringing these players that are, their careers are, some of the players we're bringing in, their careers are kind of either stagnant or declining. Like Havertz, his
Yeah.
career was declining. We brought him in. He wasn't the answer. Zinchenko, no longer wanted by City, brought him in. We haven't got over the line. We bought Jesus. We haven't got more out of him than what City got out of him. I don't really see it changing with Sterling. I think Sterling is a player that he will look a lot better because the Chelsea he was playing in last season under Poch was a disjointed Chelsea. I think the fact that we do have a system and the fact that the players know where they need to be and how the manager want to play, he will look better at Arsenal.
Mm.
But I don't look at Sterling and say, we need a goal against European elites and Sterling's going to come off the bench
Yeah,
and
and change it.
the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I just look at him as a rotation. I think it's underwhelming. I wanted to bring in quality the way we brought in Trossard. I think Trossard last season showed why you need competition in all areas. Martinelli dropped off, Trossard came in, and Trossard was the one that was scoring us pivotal goals in the Champions League and in the league, and he scored us a lot of goals that we needed, and put Martinelli on the bench, and rightfully so. So I think those are the kind of signings you want. Signings that are going to actually push the starting 11 and actually fight for a place, not players that are comfortably rotation. I don't think anybody's going to start Sterling over Saka. And that exactly says the level of Sterling. He's not a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to sort of, judge him right now. He had, a good game against Bolton, but I think in the Premier League it's it's a different type of test. But yeah, it's interesting because we know Saka's going to play every game, if he doesn't have an injury, which he never really does. And on the left, it's sort of like Trossard, more out of often starts off the bench. If he's when Odegaard's back, he'll probably be that substitute that helps us. But yeah, it's interesting about Martinelli as well because how are you feeling about him right now? Because for me, I think against Man City, I think the first half was probably maybe the best we've seen on him throughout the season so far. I know he didn't score, but he just seemed a bit more like himself. I know he's not scoring, but he just seems to me like if he got that one goal, I feel like his confidence would come back. But I know, like at the end of the season, if he's still having, if he didn't have a good season, there will be talks. As fans, we might think, is he gonna stay here, or is it best we move him on? But what are your thoughts around him so far?
Uh, do you really want my thoughts on Martinelli?
Just say Alex.
Let's get rid of him.
Mm,
Get rid of him. If he doesn't perform this season, if he doesn't pick up, listen, he had a bad season last season. I'll give him to the end of this season. If he doesn't pick up, sell him. I think we can't be. One thing I haven't liked about Arsenal in the last 20 years since we last won the league is we're too emotionally attached to players. Like we were way too loyal to Iwobi and he kept letting us down and we just dragged it on. The same with Nketiah. It took a long time for the fan base to realize up until he left that this guy is not good enough. And we saw that. I think sometimes we just have to cut our losses and let the player move on because I'll tell you why, Sophia. We had Rob Holding here for so long. Do you know why? Because we kept every time we renew the contract of these players that aren't good enough, nobody wants to put them on the same wages. And then we have a conundrum where the player doesn't want to leave because he doesn't want to have less wages elsewhere. And this is why a lot of times we struggle to get rid of players that we should get rid of a lot earlier when we see they're not good enough. Because, what do we have? Rob Holding, who was on like 100K. We had Eddie on 100K. Reece Nelson on 100K. The teams that they're going to be looking at them, they don't want to pay those wages. So then we have a problem that the player doesn't want to accept the move because he doesn't want less wages. But then we are looking at the player like he's not good enough. And then it takes us ages to get rid of the player. And then we can't command the high fee as well because the team are like, okay, if we're going to cover his wages, we want to pay less money because the wages are really high. So I think we just have to be more ruthless, and back in the day, we used to be ruthless. Like, Bentley wasn't good enough. We got rid of him. Jenkinson wasn't good enough. We got rid of him. This is the sport. If you're not good enough, you can't. We can't be a charity. And I think we just need to have that ruthless streak that if you're not good enough, we need to move you on. And I think with Martinelli, especially the wages that he's on, over 100k, if you're not delivering, we talk a lot about Saka. I think Saka's a year younger. We talk about Saka delivering. You're on very similar wages, around about the same age. If you're not keeping up, then we have to move you on and we have to put the club first. And that's how I look on it. I put the club first above anyone. I've seen
Yeah.
legends leave. So
Yeah, I think it probably might be a make or break season for him really because like you said, like I know he picked up a few injuries last season and I think the first sort of part of the season he did good, but it never really he never came back to himself, he never got those goals, throughout the second part of the season. But yeah, it's a shame really if it doesn't work out because I know he's like a very talented player and I really do like Martinelli, his passion and his love for Arsenal, but I don't think it's working out right now, unfortunately. But yeah, we've just got to give it a bit of time. I think we've got to see how it goes throughout the season, and I really do hope that it does work out for him because for me, like Martinelli is a great player. But yeah, we've got to just see how it goes. And like you said, we're sort of we need to be more ruthless at that stage, like Man City. Like we're competing with them. We've also got to be perfect when we're competing with them, and you've got to think if Man City were in this situation, would they keep Martinelli? If he keeps having this sort of performances. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, definitely. And I wanted just to speak about the game at the weekend coming up. We've got Leicester, and for me, like I'm just sort of happier. It's not like a big sort of game like against Liverpool or Man City. It's sort of it hopefully will be an easier game. Like I don't think it'll be easy at all because you can't really underestimate any teams. But how do you feel about going to this game at the weekend?
yeah, it's definitely a game we should be winning. Aston Villa dealt with them comfortably. So we should be able to deal with them, a newly promoted team. Um, we should be able to deal with them. We should be able to defend and hit them on the counter. Obviously, we don't have Odegaard,
Mm,
but I would play Ethan. I definitely play Ethan because it's his natural position, and I think he had a great performance against Bolton. I think he was our best player for me, man of the match in that game. And I think just play the player in his natural position. I think if we do that, and we put out the right team selection,
yeah.
I think we should be able to deal with Leicester quite comfortably.
Yeah, it's definitely a game you think going into it like we should win this. I mean, I know Leicester will want to win as many games as they can and stay up, but I think going to this game, like you look at our team as well, like we're good enough to win this. I mean, without Odegaard, we've done really, really well. And yeah, in the midfield for me, obviously Rice coming back in, it's sort of working out in our favour at the moment. And we just wanted to read out this comment. Martinelli must go if he doesn't perform. Until January or so. If he's not good enough, he must go. For me, we need a world class, but not one who is underperforming a big club. Yeah, like you said, a big club sort of makes these changes quickly. I think the thing is with Martinelli, when he's got one goal, I feel like they're going to come in. He just needs that goal to help him with his confidence. But we do need to sort of see it soon because he's does play on the left a lot. I mean, Sterling. I don't really see Sterling being a starter. I mean, that could change. But would you start Sterling for this game at the weekend?
No.
I love you didn't hesitate.
No,
Yeah,
I would bring him off the bench. I think we'll win this game pretty comfortably. And then if we're winning 2-0, bring him on. Give him some minutes. Why not? Rest some of our players. It's a long season. We keep seeing Saka being burnt out at the end of the
yeah,
season. And one thing we can use Sterling for is the fact that he can take some minutes off of Saka and see if we can get Saka performing the way he does, the start of the season, midway through the season, and see if he can, offer us that extra push at the end of the season to win the league or win the Champions
yeah.
League. So I definitely use Sterling in terms of minutes, in terms of just monitoring Saka's minutes and making sure that we get out there with the 3 points comfortable, and Saka can rest. That's why I would do it.
Yeah, I think for this game, we sort of know our front three probably, Saka's definitely a starter, and I think it's nice to have the option of Sterling as well, like you said, especially as the season goes on, we might need someone to bring something different to the team. So I do really hope we can see that from Sterling. But yeah, I think it'd be good as well, like you said, if the game's going good, we can always bring him on if we need him in that moment. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be interesting how Sterling does get on throughout the season because he's sort of been that. I know we've got Marino coming back from an injury, hopefully in a few weeks, but we've sort of seen a bit of Sterling so far. But for you, like, what sort of lineup would you go for? Like, I know you said you'd probably play Ranieri, and I feel like from what we've seen from him as well, he seems like he's got confidence, and I wouldn't mind if he did play in this game. We've got a lot of options with our young players, but yeah, what sort of changes would you make in the team for this game?
Personally, I would put Trossard through the middle. We've played
Yeah.
Trossard through the middle before with Waneri in the 10. Um, and then Partey, well, we have to go with Partey and Rice, really and truly. We'll go with Partey and Rice to complete that midfield. Obviously, Saka on the right,
Mhm.
Ben White on the right hand side of the fence, Saliba, Gabriel, and then on the left hand side, um, probably play Timber.
Yeah.
Um, I think Timber started a bit better than Calafiori. I think Calafiori has been good in terms of going
Mhm.
forward.
Yeah.
Defensively, at times, he has looked a little bit shocking, in my opinion. Um, so I'd go with Timber. That's what I'd go with anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Timber for me, like I know he had a big injury, and I think the way he sort of, started the season has been amazing, and his passion and just his commitment to how he plays, I just think he's amazing, and yeah, I think it's good to see how well he's doing. Like I said, dealing with that injury, and yeah, Calafiori's been absolutely amazing to watch. Like that goal he scored against Man City, but like you said, I think defensively, like I noticed sometimes in the Bolton game, he could have done a bit better, but I suppose as well in that game the pressure was off a little bit, because I know a lot of fans really don't really like the Carabao Cup. I mean, for me, a trophy is a trophy, and it's at the end of the season. It's sort of about how many wins. So I think it's great to see him get those minutes as well. But for you, like with Ben White, obviously Calafiori, Timber have been started. I know Ben White has picked up a little bit of an injury. I think Arteta, that's why I didn't play him against Man City. But do you think this might cause a problem with Ben White to get in the team? Because, Timber for me, he deserves to start, and Calafiori as well. It sort of depends which player people like, but I feel like for Ben White, when he's fit, would this cause a problem for him to get back in the starting 11?
Yeah. No, I think Ben White's actually a very consistent
Mm,
player. I didn't really like him when he first come to the club, I'll be honest, because he was playing him as a centre back. Since he's been playing as a right back, which has been most of his time
yeah,
at Arsenal, I've actually really liked him. I think Ben White, of course, like every player, he's had one or two games he hasn't
yeah,
been at his best, but I think overall he's a very consistent player. And I think a lot of people talk about Saliba and Gabriel being consistent performers. I think Ben White has made that right hand side of the defense his own. You know,
yeah,
I think Timber and Calafiori, if they want to take his place, they got a big fight on their hands because he's very, very consistent. Very consistent. He doesn't do the flashy stuff that
yeah,
Trent may do, but defensively he's very, very solid. So he's definitely a player that he's one of the few I don't really get onto that much, and that just
mm,
shows that he's pretty consistent. So I
yeah.
think he's right.
Yeah, because I remember, like, I think it might have been the Spurs game where he didn't had have the best game, but you like you said, like he's like probably one of our most consistent players. Like every week, you probably give him a 7 or an 8 out of 10. You sort of you know what you're getting from him. So I think it's absolutely fine for players to have bad games as long as you know that most of the time they're going to be good. So I absolutely agree. I just wanted to read this comment that I missed before. It seems like it was Sesko or nothing. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it'll be interesting as well to see in January. if we do sort of make any changes, because I know we don't always do that and we sort of have a quiet January transfer window. Do you believe we would bring in a striker or any other attacking players if things aren't really gelling as much in January?
If I'm honest with you, no. I think this club will pretend like they're looking for one, and then they won't,
Yeah,
because we had so many options. I mean, we could have got Ivan Tony for 40 mil. We could have got
I know.
Doncic
Yeah,
for 40 mil. I mean, we didn't even need to break the bank. 40 mil for decent and very good strikers isn't breaking the bank. I mean, that's less than what we paid for Ben White. So I think they kind of showed their hand that I personally believe that this ownership are happy with just getting top four. I
mhm.
don't think they use it. They have the same incentive that they did when Arteta first came in to go and get the players to get us over the line. I think now that he can comfortably get us top four, I think that I don't see the intent. You know, I don't see the
Yeah,
initiative. I didn't see, um, Danny Olmo was available as an example. We could have got Danny Olmo. Barcelona was still jigging, their finances to get that deal over the line. That deal actually took quite a long time since Barcelona was linked to him. We could have just went there and put the 40 mil down or 50 mil down and got him. And we didn't show that kind of ambition. We didn't get the striker. We went, and got Sterling on the loan. That is, nobody wanted Sterling. Let's completely be honest. I think
yeah,
when you see your club not reacting in the right way in the market when there's so many options, it makes you think they were options. How can we see it as fans and the club can't see it? It's hard to believe that they can't see it. Um,
yeah,
Especially when they told us wait till after the Euros and after the Copa America. Then we're waiting. We're waiting for that striker. We're waiting and we waited and waited and we got Sterling. And I think everybody was underwhelmed. And yeah, that's how I felt. I mean, I don't know. Is your family Arsenal? Is your family Arsenal
do
supporters?
you know, it's really funny, because I live up north, like, I'm the only Arsenal fan in my house, and it's so stressful as well because they all support Liverpool. So it sucks because do you know what? I've never seen us win the league, and I'm just like, my patience at the moment is quite thin because like, every season I'm like, it feels like we're gonna do it, and then at the end we miss out. I mean, last season, I feel like like, don't get me wrong, it was massively disappointing we didn't do it, but I feel like, because we didn't give up and we kept going and we could have done it. And there were games you look at now and think, if we would have beaten Fulham or West Ham or, beat Man City, you look at it totally different. But yeah, this season for me, like, I just want us to win something. Like, the league would be like my number one priority. And the FA, like you said before about Wenger, I've always seen us win FA Cups, and I love an FA Cup. But as a club, like you said, we need to win more than that. But obviously, it'd be nice to win a few things. But I just want us to get back winning. Um, Big up Carrington, big up Sofa Northside, the calmest I've seen. Northside, I love that. Big up Kai, Northside and Sophie facts. Look at the way Man City out of Joe Hart, who's the legend, exactly. Like, we've got to be like ruthless now as well. I mean, like with Smith Rowe, like I want to get your thoughts on that because I see it in like a few different ways. Because like if I was Arteta, I would have given him another season just because I see something in Smith Rowe and I think, you know, is it a regret selling him? But on the other side, I feel like he wasn't really a starter. He wouldn't really get into the team, and at Fulham at the moment, he's obviously shining. He's doing really well, and he's a very good player for them. But do you feel like this is a decision Arsenal might regret, or do you feel like it was the right thing to do?
I don't think it's a decision that we will regret.
Mm,
I think I understand why you say, maybe he could have got more out of him.
yeah,
Because he did have talent, but we just never saw the talent. And I feel like that's down to the manager. And this is why I look at this manager and I question how good is he actually getting, developing players, because ESR definitely did have talent. I think the problem with that, with us getting rid of him, is the fact that we didn't go out there and replace him.
yeah,
I didn't mind getting rid of him, and I think A lot of people didn't mind getting rid of him, but go out there and replace him. That's the problem. You either work with him and get the most out of him, or you replace him when you get rid of him. And we kind of just was in the middle. Like we got rid of him, didn't work with him, but then didn't replace him. And it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why would you not go out there? And that is the area that I question this manager, because when you look at the players that he's bought that have been young, or players that are trying to level up in their career, we got Lokonga, from the Belgium league. We've got Fabi Vieira from the Portuguese league. We've got Nuntavage from the Portuguese league. These are all players that are trying to level up and try and prove themselves in the Prem. Most of these players are not being developed under this manager. Most of them are being loaned out. Reece Nelson did not get developed under this manager, and Ketia didn't get developed. Balogun did not get developed under this manager. You know, he had a good loan spell in Ligue 1. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, Odegaard, Saka, yeah, okay. They were already, Odegaard, yeah, Saka was already performing when Unai Emery gave him a chance. And he got into the team under Unai Emery and continued that development. But then outside of that, you're looking at Martinelli regressing, and you're looking at these players and you're thinking, can he actually develop these players? Because we're not really seeing young players develop under Arteta the way they sold it to us with a Project Youth. I think Balogun was the main one. He was the only one that went out on loan and actually performed, and we got rid of him. And then you look at the ones that stayed, and you're like, where's the development? I'm not seeing a development in some of these players. I'm not seeing them become better players. They're good. He's got players that are very good players that perform within the system, but the young players, I'm not seeing them develop over time. Even the goalkeepers that we went for, like Carl Hein, even when we went for Trusty, what happened to him? Marquinhos was another one. Where is he? I don't even know where he's at. He's probably on vacation in Sao Paulo. I don't know where that guy is at. You know what I mean? He's probably on a boys' holiday right now. I don't know. And this is the thing.
Yeah.
When you go through the young players and you think, and you list them and you go, have they developed? They haven't developed under this manager, or they're not actually at the club developing. They're on loan. And it's like, this is why I question a signing like Sterling, because it's like, if you can't develop those players, why do I believe that you'll develop Sterling? Why would I believe that Sterling away from Jesus? Jesus, his highest goal scoring was 14 goals with City. It's the same with us. So where's the development?
And there's another one as well about Charlie Patino, because he had I really enjoyed watching him, and I think as well, like with the youth players, I think it's so hard for them to sort of get regular football. I mean, I know we're sort of seeing it with Lewis Skelly, Ranieri, but I feel like in general it's hard to sort of have a successful time at Arsenal. Like Smith Rowe, obviously. He went on loan a few times and we thought he would have a successful time, and it's not worked out. But Saka's another great example. Like, he is honestly been amazing for us. But a good comment here actually on talking on this. Vardy's probably down 3 Red Bulls and sprinting around his living room as we speak. I would start Ranieri. The guy is a mix of Odegaard and Moshe. I believe he is our next star boy. We win 3-0. I mean, I'll take a 3-0 win every day, but I don't think Arteta would play Ranieri, because I feel like it would be a bit of a risk playing him, because he had a great game against Bolton, but I would play him, to be honest. I don't think we've got much to lose from it. I think we're missing Odegaard in that position, and I think it'd be great to play him, and I hope we can see him. It would be really good to sort of see him play. I said this during the game, I'll say it again, Skelly has some real talent. Yeah, Skelly was obviously amazing. I don't think he'll really start, but if he'd come off the bench, I think that would be lovely to sort of see young players have that chance. But what did you sort of make of Lewis Skelly? Do you think he'll start to get a bit more time in the regular team?
I think I do agree. I think Lewis Skelly had a good game. I think Nwari had a good game. And I think our other, is it Nichols, our right back?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He played well as well. But here's the thing though, Soph. I mean, I have to be honest right now.
I knew there was like a bit coming or something, yeah.
When we started this phase, of this process, it was Project Youth. We're now in phase 5, where where this manager has to deliver now and has to get over the line. We can't be emotional towards these players now. We're now at a point that we can win. They either sink or they swim. That is what it is. I don't want to start restarting a whole project youth style cycle and going back from that. I obviously you want the players coming through the academy to succeed, but at the same time, not to the detriment of the club. At the end of the day, if they don't reach the potential that a lot of this fan base is hyping them up to be, which I think is very early to call in Waneri, Ethan, Wilshire, or somebody like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, it should be about winning major honors. And you either make it or you don't make it. If you don't make it, we get compensated for the player. The player can move on to a club that he can succeed in and he can perform and he can be a starter. But I don't think it should be, oh, because we like this young player, we must persist with him. And this is the bit of the fan base that I don't like. It's like with Iwobi, oh, we have to stick with him. And Ketia, make sure your apologies is as loud as your criticism. And it's like, look now. Do you know what I mean? We
Yeah, it
sold it.
didn't work out. Yeah,
It
exactly.
didn't work out and we wasted time and we could have went out there and got other strikers and filled his position, but instead we gave him a new contract and wasted time and wasted a chance of winning a Premier League title. And I think that is the thing. I don't think we should be, attached to these players like that. At the end of the day, let's remember, we've had the Invincibles before. Patrick Vieira left. I've seen him go to Inter. We've seen Thierry Henry go to Barcelona. We've seen Bergkamp leave the club. We've seen legends of this club leave. So if we've seen legends leave, we can see youngsters leave. They have to perform. Your place in this team has to be warranted by your performances. And at the end of the day, when you get to a certain level that I think that we're at, that we are at least competing, we have to go out there and get the quality and the youngsters have to try and make their way through. Like, we can't just be giving positions out to youngsters just because because he's young or come through the academy. We need to get over the line. And I think that's been a burden for this club at times, where we're too emotional towards players and we're too emotional towards the youngsters that are coming through, like the comment mentioned, Charlie Patino. We don't need Aziz, another one. We don't need to get emotionally attached to these players. At the end of the day, players are only as loyal as their next check, as their next contract. Let's be honest. We had Alexis Sanchez. He thought the grass was green at Man United. He left. That's how football goes. Van Persie was at Arsenal. He thought, the grass was green at Man United because he wanted to that one. We still ain't, and he left. Nasri, he left. Fabregas, he got tired of carrying the club and the club not showing the ambition to go out there and get the players. So the thing is, players are not loyal. Clubs are not loyal. When we're done with you, we get rid of you. When we're done with Nketiah, we got rid of you. ESR, we get rid of you. Rob Holding, we get rid of you. El Nene, we get rid of you. That is a sport of football. At the end of the day, if you're not good enough, you're gonna have to go. So that's the only thing that I don't like about this fan base. Way too emotionally invested in players that haven't even proven themselves. It's fine praising them for a good performance.
Yeah.
It's fine thinking that they've got good talent. Don't put pressure on their back. Don't compare them to Wilshere. Don't compare them to legends. Don't say they're the next this, the next that. Let them play their game, and we'll see if they're good enough. Because if they're good enough, we'll see that they're good enough. We don't need to force it. But at the same time, how can you be in a title race with Skelly and Nathan and Ethan? I mean, it's not really that convincing. Do we really think they're going to be game changers? This is why these players should be on loan and we should have got the quality on the bench, because these players are not going to be difference makers in the crunch end of the season. They're young players. We got young players in the team that got more experience that have not got us over the line in the crunch end. So why do we think these players with even less experience or even younger are going to be that? We're putting way too much pressure on them. They should be developing away from Arsenal. They're not ready yet.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bit unfair, like you said, to sort of put that pressure on them because they're at that age where they probably they're just so happy and proud to be part of the team and they just want to enjoy the football that they're playing. And obviously, it's a good point as well. Like, we know Bolton, are not, a great side really. We're a Premier League side and they're a League One side, so we know that there's a big difference between that. And I think we've just got, like you said, if they have a good game, praise them. And the thing is, like you said, in football, people move on if they're not, if they're not going to improve us. This does happen, and you have to be ruthless. Like, we're at the stage now, like you said, we need to bring the right players in. And I think the problem is, like, not like the players we've moved on have been the right players. Like, obviously, Nketiah, like I said before, moving on probably could have happened a bit sooner, if I'm being honest, a few years sooner. But we haven't really replaced him, and I think that's sort of the biggest problem as well, because look at someone like Jesus as well, and for me, like against Bolton, I was quite disappointed that he didn't really make the most of the opportunity that he had. And I think if with our squad we've got now, like we're expecting them to sort of maybe do what they can't do. Like Jesus, like he's not going to get us like 20 goals a season. I mean, Havertz might get us that. I mean, I'm not too sure he will. I'd probably say 15 maybe goals a season, but I think it's so hard as well putting pressure on the young players, like overhyping them in a way. Like we know Ranieri is a very talented player, but we can't say just yet is he going to have a successful time at Arsenal. He could do really well for himself, but he might leave Arsenal one day. He might move on. These things do happen. North side, now that Arsenal have said he will be a legend at this football club, have you got anything to say?
Do you know what? I'm going to ask you a question, Sophie. I know it's your channel, and big up. Make
No,
sure
go
you
on, go on.
subscribe to Sophie's channel. And be honest. I want you to be bluntly honest. Yeah. Do you think? Do you think I'm toxic and negative? Because I don't. I personally believe I just don't accept Arsenal not being winners. I feel like that's a Tottenham mentality. Do you
Yeah.
think I'm toxic and negative? What's your opinion? I'm interested to know.
Because I'm this type of person, I obviously get on with you. Like, I just think you say it how it is, and I don't think there's a problem with that. But I think, like, obviously, Arsenal fans in real life to Arsenal fans on social media is different because online, if you say something like Ben White didn't have a good game, people will take that as you don't like him or you have an agenda. So I feel like you being honest, like, or me being honest, people would take that as negative. And I feel like it's really weird with the manager because I like him, but I'm also not afraid to criticize him as well because, like you said, if the season finishes and we've not won anything, I would probably start to have my doubts if I'm being honest because I like him and I'm like, oh, you're so close to doing it. Like I want you to do well because it means Arsenal do well. But like you said, like your club will always come first. Players will go. Players will move to. Remember when Sanchez left and to United? I was heartbroken because he was like my childhood player that I love watching. But players do move, and no player or manager will be bigger than the club. But obviously, players and managers can make the club bigger. Like Henry, he influenced so many people to support
Yeah.
Arsenal. So yeah, that that's pretty much what I'm gonna say.
Oh, I thought, you might call me toxic and negative because listen, I look at it like this. Yeah, this fan base online are so scared of. They're so scared of reality. Like, obviously, you're a woman. I don't know how old you are, but as a man, you face rejection and you face reality from early. Like, as a guy, you're always the initiator if you're interested in the girl. You're always, yeah. Some women don't fancy you. There's been women that don't fancy me and told me straight up, I'm not really into black guys, or you're not really my type. I don't turn around and tell that girl, you're negative, you're toxic.
Yeah, but that would
I'm negative. It's true. It's true. I've been rejected. I've been rejected at the bus stop when I was younger. I've been rejected in the shopping center. I've been rejected in front of a girl's parents. I've been rejected. And this is just life. You can't
yeah.
turn around to the woman and say, oh, you're so negative. Can't you see that I'm on phase 5? Can't you see that I'm trying to glow up? I'm trying to get a business. The thing is, this is what makes me laugh about the male Arsenal fan base
Yeah.
online is that they can't take reality. Reality isn't always what you want it to be. When you're in a relationship, for example, I don't know if you're in a relationship, or I am. Your girlfriend, yeah, after the honeymoon stage, she's gonna give you some half truths. You're not making me feel special.
Yeah, you're not doing this. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like you're looking at other girls. I feel like you're not attracted to me anymore. I feel like you're argumentative. I feel like you always think you're right. Your girlfriend is going to highlight not just the good, she's going to highlight a lot of the bad. Yeah. And you can't turn around and say, oh, do you know what? Yeah. You're so negative. How can I took you to the cinema. Oh but you didn't check up on me, if my cat died or something. Life, reality, your girlfriend, your your manager, your parents, everyone in life, you're always going to get reality. You can't avoid it. If you're not
Yeah.
performing at work, if you're not being there for your girlfriend in the way she wants you to, or, you know, going on a double date or going on holiday or whatever it is, you know, your girlfriend will always tell you straight. Your manager will tell you straight. And if your parents love you, they're not always going to tell you you're right. You know, parents are not always going to be behind everything you do. And that's one thing I find so strange about the online community. They don't understand that not everything is always having to be a positive. Sometimes when you call something out as actually for the betterment of yourself, in this case of Arsenal, you don't have to be behind everything. If this manager doesn't succeed, we'll get another one. We got rid of Wenger, who's a bigger legend than this manager.
Yeah.
You know, so I really wonder how some of these top gooners online would survive on a relationship, would survive at work if they're coming in late or not doing their work, because it's not going to be what you want to hear. And you can't tell your girlfriend I'm on phase 5. You can't tell your manager I'm on phase 5. You can't tell your parents I'm on phase 5. You know, sometimes we have to take criticism. I take a lot of criticism from my partner. To be fair, your girlfriend, as a man, your girlfriend will be the most critical. She will be the most critical, the most critical. You know what I mean? I get the, oh, you spend more time with your online with your subscribers. You spend more time with them than me. You know, that's what I get, Sophie. Why did
Do you
you
know what?
come?
It's so hard though with like YouTube because, you know, for me as well, I do college and I'm like, I want to spend time with people, but like I just love, you know, doing this, and it's like it's so hard to find that balance. But I think as well, like you could with Arsenal, you could relate that to anything as well because, like you said, at work, if you're not, you know, doing what you should be, or if you're not, like you said, if you're late, or if you're not, doing good, they will obviously move you on, and it's like it's the same to football, really. I mean, I always think it's absolutely ridiculous how much footballers get paid. Like you could be playing rubbish, you're on the bench, and you get paid like over 100 grand a week. I think that's crazy, to be honest with you, that they get paid that much. I think if you're performing well enough, then that's okay. But if you're just sat on the bench and not doing much, I think it's a different story. But yeah, I think we have to be ruthless now, to be honest. I mean, we always should be ruthless anyway. But I think now at that stage where we just need to. I think the players we have now, like, are there any players you look at and think we need to move on? I mean, I feel like our squad, a lot of it is pretty good. I mean, no Partey, Jorginho possibly might leave in the summer, but I just look at our team and I think we just need to make a few more improvements.
Yeah, Jorginho, get rid of him. Kivio, get rid of him. Who else? Sterling, do not sign them up to a permanent. The youngsters, take them out on loan. Martinelli, if he doesn't perform, get rid of him. Jesus, get rid of him. Havertz, get rid of him. Yeah,
I just love how ruthless you are.
yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm done. Partey, if Partey continues to perform like this for the rest of the season, he's had a shocking season so far.
He's not
So
what he used to be, really, is he?
get rid of him. Get rid of him. I don't need this Ugandan shillings, BTEC 50 cent. He can go as well. I'm not. I ain't got time. I'll be honest with you, Sophia. I would. Since the last time we won the league, I was 13 years old. Since this whole 20 years, I've watched it. Yeah, every year. Yeah, getting worse and worse and worse, and that is why I've had enough, because I didn't just see I weren't bought into our decline, or I didn't. The best of Arsenal was not our decline. I've seen us
Yeah.
win titles. I've seen us be good. And those times we were ruthless. We did go in the market and buy the players necessary. We did have a manager with pedigree. And now to see this, it's like I can't unsee what I see, and it's just not good enough. You know that you got to go, gotta go. Havertz for me, gotta go. I'm sorry.
Really, Havertz? Are you not a fan of him?
Do you know what? When it comes to Havertz and Jesus, I feel like the fan base are hypocritical, and I'll tell you why. When we had Giroud, they said he wasn't fast enough.
Oh
Or
yeah, a lot of people criticised Giroud, didn't they? Honestly, that was
Giroud's a
mad.
better striker than Havertz. He's a better striker than Jesus. He was a better striker than them. He was actually scoring more goals a season than them. He scored two seasons. He scored 16 goals, 2 seasons in a row, and then we got rid of him. And then we saw him at Chelsea with a team that had winners, and he won. And then you look at Lacazette. They told us with Lacazette, oh, Lacazette doesn't score goals like Aubameyang, but his hold up play. Yeah, but eventually the fan base realized that he ain't good enough because he doesn't score enough goals, which is his main job. So I don't understand why Lacazette's work rate and link-up play wasn't good enough to keep him at Arsenal, but now all of a sudden it's good enough to keep Havertz. It's good enough to keep Jesus, because neither one of them, they're all just as rubbish in front of goal as each other. The Havertz, Jesus, and Lacazette all are not clinical goal scorers.
Mm.
So I feel like that's just another section of the fan base I don't like. Like they're
Yeah.
hypocritical. If they like you, they'll justify you. But then they bashed Lacazette for the same thing they're now praising Kai Havertz for or Jesus for. That
I
makes sense.
know. Oh, do you know what, the striker situation? Like, I think with Jesus, I want him to do well, but I just don't think it's going to work out. I mean, I'm going to give it, I think till January I could probably give my opinion, but I think going to the season, I probably would have moved him on because, like, Zinchenko's another one. I think Zinchenko for me, like, he's like injured. He gets injured so much, but defensively, like, it just doesn't work, does it really?
But you see this comment here. So half the squad is amazing. We are challenging with all these crap players, and you are celebrating challenging. This is what you're doing. You're praising us challenging. You're praising us challenging. What about us winning? Because isn't that the role of the manager to actually win stuff? 5 years and we're still giving a round of applause. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's like getting with a girl and keep taking her out on dates, yeah, but you never make it official. Eventually, she's gonna say, "Are we
She's gonna
official
get
or not?"
this.
Yeah, isn't it? You're taking me out on all these dates, but what's going on? Like, you're wasting my time. Like, are we gonna be official or are we not? And that's Arsenal. Like, we're always on that phase of, oh, we're building, we're challenging. Okay, but the sport is about winning now, and he's been given
Yeah.
everything the fan base that back him have wanted: money, time, control over the team, getting rid of Ozil, getting rid of Aubameyang, getting rid of players that he doesn't want, bringing in, overhauling the whole team, give the money from the ownership. He's actually been given the tools to succeed. At what point do you say, do you know what? Yeah, we can't defend this anymore. Like, you've been given everything. It's not like a Pochettino at Spurs that got given nothing and then got to a Champions League final. This manager's been given so much support, more support than Unai Emery, and yet this fan base were more ruthless with Unai Emery than Arteta.
Yeah, I
Make
mean,
that make sense?
it's really weird with Emery because I think, do you know what, I really supported him, and then we lost that final, and I thought he's got to go. But I do think obviously where we are now to where we were with Arteta at the start, it's a massive progress, and we can see obviously we were able to compete with Man City, and like we nearly beat them, and that's the tough thing to accept, but I do believe this season we will win something. Like, I just feel that it's going to happen because Arteta knows himself he's got to win something, and I know that he'll obviously, even if we don't win things, he'll still stay at Arsenal because I don't think anything would change really. But I think this season, like you said, he's really got to do it. Kai says Zinchenko needs to go. He's been here 2 seasons now. I think last season I noticed more with Zinchenko how poor defensively he is because I think in the attack he's good, but when we're not seeing him scoring goals or anything, he's not really doing much. So I think that's what you notice with Zinchenko. But I, I am surprised he's still here, if I'm being honest, because he has been quite poor. But I don't really think he's going to be a third. I think he's not really an option at left back right now, really. Chris says Drogba and Rooney scored 20 goals in their career twice, yet we expect every striker to score 20 goals. These guys were regarded as greats. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you have a striker, you expect them to score that many goals, really, because if you want to win a league, that's how many goals they need to get. I mean, obviously, other players will score. We'll get players in the midfield that will help out. But do you feel as a striker, you would expect like 20 goals a season for them?
Yeah, like at least like 18, 19, 20, at least reaching that number. Um, that's what they're paid big money for. That's what they paid big money for.
Yeah.
Fernando Torres used to score goals. Berbatov used to score goals. All these strikers that we talk about that are great strikers scored goals. We remember Ian Wright because he won and he scored
Mm.
goals. Same with Thierry Henry. Same with Birdcamp. Like even Diego Costa scored goals. Like, you need players, not only even the players like Drogba that weren't scoring ridiculous amount of goals, they still turned up in finals or turned up in like when the team needed a
Mm.
goal to get to finals and win major honors, they turned up. We don't have those players. We don't have players that score 20 goals, and we don't have strikers that turn up when we need a goal. When it's pivotal for them to score a goal for us to get over the line, they don't turn up. Last season, Jesus didn't turn up. Havertz didn't turn up. We rely on Saka, and I feel sorry for Saka because at the end of the day, he's one of the players that get the least rotated, and he gets burnt
Yeah.
out every season. That's down to the management, and it shouldn't just be on Saka. When Liverpool won the league against Man City, they had what's his name? What's his name? They had a Firmino, they had Salah, and they had Mane. You
Yeah.
know, they had multiple players that could score goals, multiple players that could score winners, multiple players that can turn up in finals, quarterfinals, in the crunch end of the season. We constantly rely on Saka. It makes it easy for the team to nullify you because you only have that one outlet, the one player that you're looking at to do something. It makes you more predictable, and I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't got over the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what it
I
is.
think with Saka, like he's my I always say this, he's my favourite player, but I think at times he can be predictable, and I think sometimes like if the other players aren't really doing much, or if Martinelli's not doing much on the left, it's hard. We are relying on Saka really to provide for the team when it is his job, but it's also the striker's job as well to, Havertz. I like Havertz, but he won't win us the league on his own. I think I do agree with this. I think if you had to pick, I'd probably keep Havertz, sell Jesus, but also bring someone else in. Like I don't know if Arteta thinks to himself Havertz will win us the league, as a striker, but I think we need someone else in, to be honest. Big up to Kai who says, sell Havertz, Kivior, Zinchenko, Sterling, Tomiyasu, Jesus and Partey. I mean, Sterling is only a loan anyway, even if it goes bad, it's only a loan. Tomiyasu, that for me, I'd be really sad to see him go, but I wouldn't be surprised because obviously he's a great player. It's just his injury record that lets him down a bit. Kiwior doesn't really play much really unless he has to. I feel like you said before, defensively we've got so many options that maybe we have too many options like at the back. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did sell Kiwior. To win the league we need a striker who will give you a minimum of 20 goals as well. It's like as well there's other competitions like in the Champions League as well. We expect, a striker to score a lot of goals. I mean Jesus does have a good record in the Champions League, but for me at the moment it's just not. I'm just not feeling it with Jesus. I feel like, does Jesus need time this season, or do you feel like it was maybe the wrong decision to keep him here?
No, 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 no. That B-Tech little Bow Wow needs to go. I'm tired now. I don't care if he's got a new hairstyle. The performance is the same. For me,
Yeah, new hairstyle soon.
hairstyle ain't fooling me. I mean, I just want to quickly ask you something. Sophie, could you name me a tennis player?
No, I'm not a tennis person.
No, just any tennis player that comes to mind. Any.
My mind's gone blank. I've heard. There's one in my head. I can't think of his
The
name.
women, the two sisters.
Who's that one that did really well? Oh wait, there's one I'm thinking of.
Spanish one.
Hold on. There's one I'm thinking of. I want to find it. I forgot her name. Oh my god, this will drive me nuts. There's one. There's one. You can vision
Nadal.
them. Might be, yeah.
Nadal. Okay,
Oh,
Nadal.
Serena Williams. Actually, I do not. You guys will know my tennis is not
Serena,
great.
Serena Williams.
Yeah,
Could you
Serena
name me?
Williams.
Could you name me a basketball player? Just any that comes to mind. Maybe one that has trainers.
Is Michael Jordan a basketball
Michael
player? Yeah.
Jordan. Cool, Michael Jordan. What's that famous golfer? The black guy.
Hold on. Um, Give me a sec. Golfer.
Yep.
You guys might need to. Tiger Woods. Is that what?
Tiger Woods. Could you name me a boxer?
Tyson Fury.
Cool. How come in every sport everybody, all of us, we only remember the winners? Why is it
Yeah.
only the winners? Like, even if you watch the sport or not, I'm not a big tennis fan. I'm not a big. I like basketball. I don't keep up with it.
Yeah,
Whatever sport we talk about, if I asked you, name me. If I was to ask you,
yeah,
name me who kept the pressure on, who came close,
yeah,
who was in phase five, who was up there, but they didn't get over the line, but they were up there. We don't remember. We remember the winners. We
yeah.
always, every single time in sport, whether you like the Olympics, whether you like any other sport, we remember winners. We never remember losers. Even when we talk about this football club, if I ask you, what's your favorite Arsenal team?
Ever or
Yeah, what's yours? I mean, it's up to you. It's what's your favorite?
do you know what? That's that's good. Do you know what? There's do you know what? I started supporting Arsenal in the 2015 season. I love like oh, do you know what? Defensively, though, we were really bad. That's probably not the best one to pick. I love
What
the
do you know
invincible.
then? Since you supported in 2015, of what you know, what is the one you feel like that was pinnacle Arsenal? That was the
Do you know
best.
what? It's really weird because if I think of when I started supporting Arsenal, there's only really like a few players that stand out to me. Like defensively, trying to think. I think we had like Gabriel Paulista at the time when I started watching. But like like Sanchez and Özil, they're like the ones that and Giroud as well. Do you know what Giroud? I feel like I always appreciated him, but I feel like a lot of fans didn't, like you said before. But
Hmm.
do you know what? It's really weird. Like when I think of a team, like back when I supported, I just think of individuals because
Even maybe before you supported, what's the most famous team that you hear
I
about?
love I love the '89 team as well. I'll probably go that. What would yours be? Because I'd love to know what your favourite team is. I like the '89 team, George Graham.
So how come you mentioned the team that's winners? This is what I mean. When does anyone sit there and say, "Oh, my favorite Arsenal team is when we got second to Leicester"? No one says that.
And no, it's do you know what it is like? I feel like when you've watched things back and you've not like because I've experienced something in my childhood. I mean, to be honest, I did watch us win an FA Cup, but it's not really like a league. Um, but I think with the '89, because I wasn't there and I didn't live it, it's hard to like properly experience it. But what was your? I want to know your favorite or best lineup or whatever.
My favorite was the Invincibles. I can't lie.
Yeah,
That was my favorite. Um, that was. I feel like if I had a channel then, if the internet, back then we had like
that would have been
AOL.
mad.
Yeah, I feel like the perception of me online to many people would be very different because when this club was successful, I used to defend this club all the time.
Yeah,
Like my family is very divided, Man United, Arsenal, and I used to defend this club because they gave me something to defend. Because even though we didn't dominate the Premier League, we always were up there and we always got over the line. We didn't take too long to get over the line. I've seen us win
mm,
3 Premier Leagues in my lifetime. I've seen us do league doubles. I've seen us be successful, and that's the thing. When the club is successful, some people say to me, "Oh, what are you gonna do? You can't be negative and all that." I don't want to be negative, but the club doesn't give me anything to be positive because I've seen multiple youth projects. I've seen the British Core. I've seen Clichy. I've seen Van Persie and all these players. And one thing that's synonymous in the last 20 years is we never kicked on when we had quality players.
yeah,
And they always had enough. Alex Song, Fabregas, Nasri, Adebayor. And this is the thing: when you don't go out there and actually get over the line, fans may want to give it time because it's your club and you're not going anywhere. But a lot of players, they get frustrated and they want to leave. Just because we feel like that we're always going to be Arsenal supporters, doesn't mean that the players that you have are going to always feel the same. When we got Sol Campbell,
yeah.
Sol Campbell said they were about to offer him the highest wage they ever offered a player in the Premier League. Sol Campbell, and that's just as Daniel Levy became owner of Tottenham. And he said, "I can't see this club winning. Arsenal have a team; they're ready to win. They're winners. I'm going there. I feel like I can reach my ambition there." And this is the problem. And ever since like that period, we were able to get players over the line. But guess what? It works both ways. When you're not successful, there are players that are going to feel like, well, hold on, I've been here a while. We haven't got over the line. Like Sol Campbell was with Tottenham. He was their captain and they had enough and they want to move on. We see Saliba getting linked with Real Madrid.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. That's the thing. Like, if we're not gonna win things, and if we keep coming second or third, you never know how the season might go. It's that's the thing because for me growing up, like there were so many players that I liked that just left, like for both the men and the women's team because we weren't really close to winning things. And like you said, players come and go. If you only have one career, and if you have a chance of winning a Champions League with Madrid or winning the league with Madrid, you're not going to say no to that. Um, until Arsenal win a Champions League or another Premier League, you won't be taken seriously. It's weird because I think with Arteta, I remember Gary Neville saying something like, I don't really see you challenging, and we are obviously challenging right now. So like people did realise what Arteta could do, but it's also now the argument if Arteta can take us over that line now. And I think that's why he's got such a big season ahead. I just wanted to read this comment for you. Northside, you're right, we need to win. I only disagree when you call him manager trash. Maybe Arteta isn't good enough to beat Pep, in which case we'll move him on, but that doesn't make him trash in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, no, listen. When I say he's trash, you're taking it in the wrong way. I don't mean trash as in he can't coach a
Yeah,
team or he can't get a team competing. But let's be brutally honest. The only managers football fans rate are managers that are winners. Nobody celebrated and said Ole was a great manager when he got second.
yeah,
Nobody said that, oh, Brendan Rodgers being second was, oh, Liverpool were harsh to get rid of him. At the end of the day, football is brutal. And the,
yeah,
the backing this manager gets, I don't understand because he's never achieved anything. At least with Wenger, I understood it because he won us multiple FA Cups and league
yeah,
titles. I understood what the fan base believed that, well, wrongly. I disagreed, but I could understand that some people felt like he could recapture what made him
mm,
great in the first 10 years. This
yeah,
manager, that level of backing, and he hasn't won us any major honors. And that is what frustrates me. And sometimes I say, yeah, he's trash. He's not trash. He's just not of the level that I believe the fan base put him on. Because there's a lot of things about him, team selection, substitutions in games, tactically being able to be flexible to get us over the line, like Unai Emery was with Villarreal, as an example, or Conte was when he went to Chelsea, had zero money
yeah,
and got beat by Arsenal, and he learned and he played free at the back and he won the league with a team that he didn't need 5 years, he didn't need £1 billion, he didn't need all of that. And that is the problem. I feel like this fan base put this manager on too high of a pedestal and he hasn't won anything. And I don't understand the hype for him. And that is why sometimes I say he's trash. He ain't completely trash. Of course, we've got a style of play. The team is competing. But he ain't nowhere near, in my opinion, as good as he's been hyped to be. There's a lot of things about him as a manager that doesn't put for me, doesn't put him in that elite category,
yeah.
And that's basically
I
what I mean.
think he's so close to, having that much success. And I think, like, it's like you said, if you finish, second, like Ollie did. I mean, I know we're a lot closer to first, but we are in that category of, falling short. I think Arteta's just got to do it this season. Like, I feel like as well, I think we're able to work out Man City, and I think Man City don't really like that, especially Haaland. But we need to be able to beat them. Be amazing to beat them at the Emirates, but we need to just be more consistent. Like the teams we struggled with last season, we've got to beat them, and that's why I was really happy we beat Villa. But I know the Brighton result wasn't too good. But I think if we're able to learn from last season, I feel like we'll be okay. I've got a question for you here from Harry. Northside, how do you feel about Timber and Calafiori?
Timber, I feel like he's been a bit rocky since he's come back, but at the same time, he has come back from a long injury. So I
Yeah,
can understand maybe it's because he's come back from a long injury, still trying to pick up form, etc. Calafiori, I think so far he's looked horrendous defensively. Scored a very, very good goal against Man City. Won't take that away from him,
yeah,
but at the same time, I keep seeing him being cooked defensively. I think on the half turn he's a bit too slow, and I think every time wingers change direction, he just looks like he's losing his man, and he keeps getting cooked. And I think I've not been impressed with him defensively of his performances. I will give both of them a season, and I said this when we got Timber and Calafiori. I said I won't gas them up, but I won't definitively say they're absolutely rubbish. I'll give them a season because I didn't see them prior to coming to Arsenal. So I'll give them a season, and then I'll make my final thoughts on those players. I'll give them a chance, but so far, I need to see more. I
Yeah.
do need to see more from them.
I think as well, like with Calafiori, the season just started really, and we've not really. I know he's been starting to play, but we've not really seen too much to say right now. I mean, I think in the attacking sense, I think we won't have any problems with that, and I think you'll definitely get us a few goals this season. But I think defensively, would be something that he could work on. But obviously so far I can't really argue too much. I mean, like you said, there has been moments where he could do a little better, but I think with Timber, I've been quite impressed with him so far. I mean, I think, like you said, having that injury, such a big injury, for him to come back, play his full 90 minutes against Spurs and do so well, I just think it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on throughout the season, because I know for him it will be, it wouldn't surprise me if he picked up an injury at some point with, like this season's going to be hard for him with that injury he had. So I really do hope he can do that. And before we do round the show up, I thought you could tell people about your channel, where they can find you, and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Love for having me on, Sophie.
Always
Big up.
loved it
Yeah.
too.
I hope you don't get the toxic and
Oh,
and
don't
negative
worry.
being
Don't
here with me. You know what I mean? She's a nice girl. Leave her alone. Support her. Subscribe to her. Very nice. Very respectful. And yeah, my channel Northside LDN. And yeah, I just think it's a channel that I always put the link out. Anybody I don't know who's gonna go on the link. And I let everybody have a say, whether you agree with me
Yeah.
or you don't agree with me, as long as you're respectful, we can have a conversation. I mean, Christopher Ward has been respectful, so I've been respectful back. Um, so yeah, that's basically it. I know a lot of people think I'm very rude. I'm rude to people that are rude to me. That's how I am.
Yeah.
You're rude to me. You don't have to agree with me. Sophie doesn't
Yeah.
have to agree with me, and nobody has to agree with me. At the end of the day, I even tell my chat, you don't have to agree with me. Just if you show me respect, I'll be respectful back. If you're disrespectful, I'll be extra disrespectful. That's just
Yeah.
because
I
that's how
think,
I feel
yeah.
like it's in real life. Like if I was rude to in real life, if I'm rude to Sophie, which I wouldn't, because she's a very nice girl. If I was rude to her, she'll be rude to me. And say, who the hell are you? Like, don't talk to me like that. It's just normal. And I
Yeah,
don't think
just
those
like,
manners need to change online. If you're rude to someone, don't expect them because they have a channel to be the bigger person. I'm not gonna be the bigger person. If you go low, I'll go lower. Pause. That's how I am. You know what I mean? But big up to Sophie, man. Big up.
oh, I've really, really enjoyed this. And Harry here has just put Northside's channel, so please do check it out as well where you're watching.
Thank you.
Big up Northside. I love a good discussion, different opinions make exactly. I think, if we all had the same opinion, the world would be quite boring. I always think it's nice to have, different opinions, because, with Arsenal, with Arteta, everyone will have different opinions. I think, as like you said, as long as we listen to each other and we're respectful, it's always nice to have these conversations. And big up to chat as well. Big up to Victor. Always lovely to see you in here as always. Yeah, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed this. It's been so much fun. Like, it's gone so quick. I've really enjoyed it. So big up to yourself. But yeah, to those that are watching this as well, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, check out Northside's channel, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, guys.
Big up.